Hey, it's Doug McGuff with Ultimate Exercise, Body by Science, and drmcguff.com. Today I just want to do another installment of Gap the Weight Stack. For a lot of my listeners, this is something that you're probably already familiar with, but I think there are some people out there that have recently acquired some MedX equipment. They're posting videos of themselves online using it, and I'm seeing that they're making some mistakes, or at least not using the full potential of the machine. As an example here, I'll zoom in, we'll get focused. I'll show you this video of someone and how they're getting into this machine to get the proper movement of the movement arms so that they're converging well. But as you notice at the beginning, what's happening is this person is wedging themselves in and pushing the bar out and getting themselves situated. And then at the lower turnaround, there's still a huge gap where they don't have a hard end point at the lower turnaround. And I'm going to show you a different way of approaching this. So what we saw this person do was the weight stack was gapped out at 0 holes. It was just completely flat. I don't think that they have any idea that they can actually gap the weight stack to make adjustments to your body. So we'll just put the pin in at a given weight, and then if you back up, I'll show you what they're doing is to get the proper movement arm convergence, they're having to get into the machine and then drop down, push it out, get it out, and then readjust their hands. And now they're in the proper movement arm position. But at the bottom, if you look at the weight stack, the weights aren't touching. There's not a hard end point at the lower turnaround. So that can get a little messy, or you can shortchange your range of motion if you don't know where you're at. So I'm going to set this down. Another thing that I'm seeing is instead of wedging themselves in there, they'll just give up and move the back pad all the way to the back. So they got room to get into the machine when it's not gapped out. But then what happens is your hands are too wide apart and you're not taking advantage of the convergence of the movement arm from that position. So rather than do that, what you should do is figure out the optimal convergence of the movement arms by just pulling the pin completely out of the weight stack so that there's nothing there. Then sit in the machine and move the movement arms forward until they come together, and then have your training partner or yourself adjust the back pad to that level so you're getting maximum convergence of the movement arm. Because to fully involve the pectoralis muscle, the humerus bone has to move your hands towards the midline. Once your hands are at midline, you have maximal contraction of the pectoralis muscle. So if you're like this, you've made maximal use of the biomechanics of the machine. And then from here, just float the movement arm back to a proper starting position where the backs of your hands are even with the frontal plane of your chest. From there, go take a picture of the gap in the weight stack, see how many holes you got. That's how many holes you gap the weight stack out. In this case, it's 5. And then pin your weight. Now you're set up so that you have the appropriate biomechanics for the machine. You've built the machine around your body rather than forcing your body around the machine without a weight stack gap. So now you've got a perfect start point. The movement arm converges so you get maximum pectoral involvement. And then on the lower end, you have a hard stop at the lower turnaround because the weight stack will hit. One final caveat with the MedX is if you are making use of the accessory stack to use the small increments, let's say I was going to use not 140, but 158 pounds. You got to realize that the timing of this weight stack and the timing of this weight stack with regard to the holes is different. So if you're going to gap the weight stack and you're using the accessory stack, set that weight first, then gap your stack to your 5 holes. And you're good to go. So once again, in this position, you've built the machine around your body, you're making use of the converging movement arm, and you got a hard end point at the lower turnaround so that the machine is now set up perfectly, and you don't have to go through all the risky acrobatics of getting in the proper position. So just a quick tip for people that have got new MedX in their lineup. And until the next time, this is Doug McGuff for Ultimate Exercise, Body by Science, drmcguff.com. Now go outside and do some dope shit in the real world.